Hi, this is Matt from Skybo, and in this video I will show you how you can bring the data from your external systems into your SharePoint forms with ease.
So, what's the official scenario from Microsoft? Their goal was to enhance the Microsoft search results with third-party data from your external systems. So, it's not just about SharePoint. You will probably not have all your data within SharePoint. There are a lot of systems around SharePoint. And if you want to integrate them into the search results, for example, that's the scenario. And you can configure those data sources or connectors from which you want to get the data indexed in the admin center. I will show you that one in the demo afterwards. And you can also use them as search verticals. So if you see the search center here or search result page, those here on the top, those are the verticals. And for example, here I have integrated our help center. You also see the sources here, the different sources you can use to filter. And these three down here are graph connectors, one to SQL, one to a CSV, and the other one to our Zendesk Help Center. And yeah, as well as always from Microsoft, those data can also be used in Copilot results. So if you ask Copilot something, it will then know the content of those external system or of this data and will consider it in the results. So let me. There are more than 70 connectors as of today. A lot of them are still in preview, but yeah, I also tried, for example, the Zendesk Help Center preview one. It works well, and yeah, you can also build custom connectors to if you have your own system and you want to integrate your custom connector. There is an SDK on how this can be done. I will post the link to the SDK in the chat for you if you're interested in that one. So yeah, you can basically extend data from everywhere if you are able to create your own custom connectors. There's even the possibility to connect data which are hosted in an on-premises on your own servers. Therefore, you would have to install a gateway to be able to do that, which is all well documented. All right, let me give you a quick demo on the official one, which is all like out of the box. So if we go here, and as I said, I integrated some data sources, Zendesk Help Center, our ticketing system. So if we want to look up data from the ticket system, which is outside of SharePoint, and also just for the demo purpose, I created a CSV file with electric cars from BYD. And integrated that one, because I think there's still a lot of old legacy system who do not have a web service or any possibility to get out the data, but CSV is always something that you get out of those old data, old systems, and you upload the CSV somewhere on SharePoint and you can make it available here as well. So if I would go here and search, for example, for rename column, we get a couple of results. I can filter down, let's say for the help center, and I would see 2 articles, or from the ticket system. So there was one ticket where it was about this rename, or I can create my own vertical, and this vertical is looking at both Zendesk connections. So we would see the 3 of them. So this is the vertical you can also create. And even, like I said, even if I would look for BYD, we would find the different cars. Of course, the CSV we will find as well, where it's stored, and we would find the information from the different BYD cars with some details. All right, but the scenario for Skybo is a little bit different. If we want to use the same data in our forms, then that will be our own scenario, and we will make use of the same connections inside the forms. Previously, you had to create a SharePoint list somewhere and then synchronize this data from, for example, from a CRM system with customers. You always had to synchronize those into the list and then make a lookup or a cross-site collection lookup, which is not needed anymore with this one. And as you can see, you can also, like the normal lookups, we can display additional columns from the target system. There's a search possibility. We can filter it. You can really use it like a normal lookup. Also, multi-selection is possible, and the filtering is not using camel like we normally do for SharePoint lookups. It's using the KQL, which is the query language for the SharePoint search or the Microsoft search results. That's also, if you Google KQL, it's all well documented. I will also give you an example on how to do that. So in our case, bringing the possibility to select items from an external system somewhere, that's the scenario that we have. Now, real quick about the architecture, how this is done. It's basically any data on-prem or in the cloud. Those are the connectors. And then you have this graph API, which can be called to access the data through these connectors. It's configured in the admin center, and it will make it available in the search service. So it will index those this data, and it makes it available in SharePoint Online, Search, Bing, Office.com, and with the latest edition, also in the Skybo forms using the data lookup. So data lookup was there to look up data from all the site collections, and now we can also easily access all the configured connections using the data lookup. So a couple of things to know regarding licensing. The cool thing is you don't need an additional license. It's just a valid M365 license, and then you have it. Of course, for the Copilot part, you need to have a Copilot license as well. But for our part, using it in the forms, configure the connection and use it in the forms, it's no additional license needed. So that's the positive thing. Just a couple of, maybe yesterday or the day before, they changed the location in the admin center where it has to be configured. It used to be in the search admin center, and now it's in the Copilot section. And they also call it Microsoft 365 Copilot Connectors. So you will find both Copilot Connectors, but also Graph Connectors. Both names are still in use. But everywhere on the Microsoft side, they changed it to Copilot Connectors. But it's not only for Copilot, so that can be a bit confusing. There are limitations. The biggest is only 10 sources per tenant, so only 10 different external data system, and then that's it. And also the editing capabilities, if you have configured a connection, is really limited. I was also struggling. I set it up several times. And if you want to change something, in a lot of cases, it's not possible. You have to delete it and recreate the connection. And I even had the case that delete was not working. Now it's hanging. So it's not very stable, that part, the configuration part. At least that's my experience. Yeah. So make sure to create the connection correctly right from the beginning. All right. So for the demo, normal SharePoint list. I have a new form where I have 3 lookups or data lookups. One is pointing to an SQL table, and as you can see, we have a different 3 different fields. I could also search for them, and this one is multi-selection. It's like a normal lookup. This one is pointing to the Zendesk Help Center, where I also show some additional columns. And last but not least, the CSV file. That's the one here. So I have 5 cars in that CSV file, or 6. Here's one more. Now, if we want to see how to configure it, we have to go to the admin center. And like I said, it used to be in the search. Maybe for some of you, it's still there because this one really changed yesterday. Maybe you can find it in admin centers search, in all admin centers search. And there is the data connection or data sources. And just yesterday, I got this message. Now it has changed. It's up here on the Copilot agents and connectors, where you can find the connectors here. First of all, you see the configured connections. See my 4 connections that I've configured. This one I tried to delete, but it failed and I'm not able to delete it anymore. I have no clue. Maybe this will work someone later. To create new connection, you say new. You have this large library. Like I said, it's over 70 different connections, and in most of them, they are all configured differently. But there's also, let me quickly grab this link here. Not from here, from there. There's a documentation for each connector, basically. So if you select the connector, let's use the Zendesk, for example, Help Center, say add, then each connector is different, and here the help panel will also guide you through and help you. Most of my connections were using OAuth 2, where you need to provide a client ID and a secret. And once you have a connection made, you can find the properties. So let me show you an existing one. This one here, for example. This is my SQL connection, an Azure SQL. You can also say when it should be crawled, like weekly, daily, an incremental crawl or a full crawl. And you define the schema in here. All the properties will be automatically recognized, and then you can define if they should be queryable, if you need to retrieve them. And there are 2 main things. One, you have to define, this we will not see here, but one you have to define as the unique identifier. The other one is defined as the title. And then there is one that you can define as content. And if I understand it correctly, then that's the one which is taken for the Copilot content for the answer. Look into that one, and also for the search that it will look into that specific thing. So for example, for the help center article, there's one field called body where you have the whole HTML of the article in there. This one you can define as the content, and then it would crawl and index everything. Oops, sorry, as content there. So here you define all the properties, and yeah, once done, that over. Yeah, you can select those properties then in the form, and that's how it will work in Skybo. So when you're on a forum, doesn't matter, new edit display form, you have to use the data lookup from Skybo. And as always, give it a name, external data, whatever. Here, choose the graph connector. We still call it graph connector. Then it will load all the configured connections from your tenant, which are configured in the background. Those are the ones. And once you select the connection, it will load all the configured properties, where you have to specify which one is the key and which one is the display column. And here you see you can define that query language or the filter for the data if you want to filter down the field. There's a link to the article here. Let me just put it into the chat as well. So it's that one. And yeah, like a normal lookup, specify multiple values if it's required or not. And down here, the columns to display. Just like this. Say OK, it will create a column and it's already there. So what I did, for example, here we go. What I did on the Help Center articles, I removed, I'll show you here. Filters are quite easy. I removed all the release notes article because I don't want to have them. And this one is should not contain. So it's not equal releases. If it should contain releases, then it's like this with a double point and so on. So that's all described in the documentation, as I said. And that's it, basically. That's how you can look up the data. And maybe last but not least, if you deploy this solution into another tenant, where maybe the connection is having a different name, then we also provide a possibility to change that, like in a data lookup, and that's in the deployment maintenance section. So if you go to a deployment like here, I deployed that site, the solution, into another site, still on the same tenant, but let's assume it's on another tenant. Select the deployment, go to the deployment maintenance page, and there you will find the data lookups. And like the normal cross-site collection lookup, we can also click here and change, for example, the connection ID. Like I said, if you have it on another tenant and there the connection is, because it created two, that name is given automatically, then you can simply change it here to be 2. Normally this structure you don't have to change. It's just which field is the key, what's the type, and is it searchable or queryable. that one you don't have to change. But if it's not a connection, you can change that here. Save it, and then it should point to the correct one in the target system.
Using the Microsoft Copilot connectors, you should now be able to connect your data from several external systems right into your SharePoint forms. So thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel.